Now, how would you feel if you met someone and they said to you that their main hobby, their main passion was geography? They loved to watch videos about it, and this had been their main thing for years and years. It was their favourite thing in the world. And then later on in the evening, someone says to them that tomorrow they're leaving for Nepal. And this guy says, "Oh, right, oh, Africa. Cool, man." And these people are like, "No, Nepal, not Africa." And he's like, "Yeah, Nepal. It's in Africa, right?" And these people are like, "No, we're going to Nepal. It's next to India, like in between India and China." And this guy was like, "Oh, okay." You'd probably be thinking, hold on, didn't this guy say like an hour ago that his favourite topic was geography and he watches videos about it and listens to podcasts? And then imagine later on in the same evening, in a totally different conversation, somebody makes a comment and then this same guy says something like, "Yeah, well, 6 billion people on the planet, you're bound to bump into somebody who looks similar." And you're like, hold on, 6 billion? And he's like, "Yeah, that's a lot of people. So there's pretty good chances." You're like, "Yeah, I get the point you're making, but where'd you get 6 billion from? That's not the story." And he's like, "Yeah, it's hard to believe, but there's 6 billion people now, almost anyway." And you're like, "No, that was a story years ago. Now it's almost 8 billion. And he looks at you with a puzzled look on his face. And you're like, "Didn't you say your main hobby is geography?" Like, I get population numbers aren't necessarily the exact same as geography, but they're kind of related. Wouldn't that be something that you would know by now? If your hobby is watching videos and listening to podcasts about geography, like if that's your main thing, shouldn't you know this basic stuff? Well, anyway, that's how I feel about most so-called awake people and truthers, who after all of this years of so-called research, don't seem to know the basic facts about major events. And we're going to put this idea to a test right now. Without using the internet, without using your smartphone, can you tell me the numbers of the flights that were supposedly used in the 9/11 attacks? 2 planes into the 2 towers, 1 into the Pentagon, 1 into Shanksville. Whether you believe the story is real or not, the official story says there were 4 flights involved. What were the numbers of the flights? I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I think if you don't know the answer to that question, then whatever you've been doing in this corner of internet for the last few years, it's not research. This is stuff you should know, in my opinion, if this is something you take seriously. Now, some people might say, okay, why do the flight numbers matter? That's a very good question, because I don't think those flight numbers were chosen by random chance. Whoever or whatever chose these flight numbers seems to have been influenced by Aleister Crowley and his magic. This seems to be no coincidence that the numbers involved in the September 11 attacks are significant numbers in Crowleyan magic. Now, if somebody has spent years and years, quote-unquote, researching the truth, alternative ideas, so-called conspiracy theories, and somehow they don't know about the Crowleyan connections to 9/11, then what the hell is going on here? So what I'm going to do is link in the show notes below to the latest conversation where I chatted with a guy called William Ramsey, and he wrote a book all about the esoteric elements of 9/11. And we spent a lot of time discussing why we both think these numbers are so important. He has his ideas, I have my ideas, and we kind of like compare notes, as they say. Well, here's what I think's important, here's what he thinks important. But we both seem to agree that flight numbers are important. And for me, it was learning about those numbers, learning about the significance of flights 11, 175, 77, 93, that got me looking into the further esoteric elements of 9/11. And by the end of that process, that took years, I suppose, looking back now, years and years of that kind of esoteric analysis. The flight numbers now are just the tip of the iceberg. Like, they're entry level. So if somebody doesn't even know the flight numbers and the Crowleyan connections, I'm guessing they don't really know anything else about 9/11, which is fine, but how's that any different from old mate who has spent years with geography as one of his main topics, his main hobby, videos and podcasts, doesn't even know where the hell Nepal is? Somehow still believes that the world population, the official story, is 6 billion. How's it any different from that? If you think I'm wrong or if I'm pissing you off with these ideas, leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me what you think. And go and check out the latest conversation with William Ramsey. It's a little over an hour. It's available right now publicly to stream or download. Go and check it out. And if you're one of those people who hate watches my channel because you think I'm crazy, and to be fair, I do look a little bit crazy and I do sound a little bit crazy. If you're one of those people who thinks I'm crazy and you watch me to hate watch me, tell me, how do you explain those flight numbers and their connections to Crowley? If you even know about that. Seriously, I would love an answer. I would love a normie explanation for how numbers that are so significant to Aleister Crowley turn up in what some people consider to be one of the biggest events in recorded human history. Like I said, link in the show notes below, in the info box, the comment section below, and leave your comments, folks, whether you agree or disagree. And please don't be mad. If you didn't know the answer to that basic question, I'm not trying to upset or offend you. I'm just trying to be serious here. If old mate who didn't know where Nepal is clearly hasn't been researching geography, then the awake and truth people who don't even know the flight numbers, what the hell have they been doing?